Good morning, Tarot Sphere. It's Holly from Cape Cod Creatures, and we have officially reached 100 subscribers. So I'm very excited about that. Actually, we're at 106 right now, so amazeballs. And I have been racking my brain to bring you because I promised you all a tarot tag if I reached 100 subscribers. And I've been racking my brain, and I think I've come up with a really good one. And I've come up with a challenge on top of it. So we're going to dive right in. If you want to skip watching my video, no hurt feels. I know I tend to ramble. You can jump right in. The questions are all posted below. And I look forward to watching all of your responses. So let's go. Oh, and when you do respond, make sure you put the hashtag in the description of your video. If you just put it in the title, it won't be searchable by the hashtag. And you can always link in a comment below when you finish your video. So anyway, and then I'm going to mention the challenge at the end of the video as well, but I might wind up doing a separate video for it. I mean, I'll at least be, I'll be video journaling my experience with the challenge. So anyway, let's get going. The first question, what is your most favorite and most used deck? So for me, hands down, that has to be a toss-up between the Wild Unknown and lately, oh, I put it in my bag. I forgot to put it on the counter. My other most used tarot deck would have to be the Nourrisson Bird Tarot. So those are my absolute favorites. And they're my favorites because there are no people in them. Wild Unknown is the first deck that I came across where the imagery was just, I love that hand-drawn, hand-sketched feel, and I love that there are no people. You know, I don't have to, like, it's a little more open to interpretation. It's also the first Pip deck I've ever really owned. I guess you could call it a Pip. It's more Pip-ish, let's say. I mean, her imagery is very deliberate, but to kind of push it over the edge from just a regular Pip deck into something else. But yeah, so that is why I love that one. And the Nourrisson Bird Tarot I love because it's just, I put it back in my bag. Oh my goodness. Clearly I haven't had coffee this morning. The Nourrisson Bird Tarot I love because it's traditional Rider-Waite imagery, which I used to hate, but then they replace it with pet birds. So that to me is amazing. Like, come on, the Sun card. I used to hate the Sun card, but now I love this one because it's a chick riding a chicken. It's so dorky with a little piece of ribbon in his mouth, which makes way more sense than like a baby holding a ginormous banner. And then the pages are all cockatiels. I actually have a pet cockatiel. He's been hanging around with me for 22 years, that old man. But yeah, it's amazing. Like the moon. So anyway, you still get like the image prompts from Rider-Waite, because sometimes I find myself when I'm using a different deck, I think to myself, what would this look like if it was Rider-Waite? And I can't always recall that immediately. But this one I can read with a Rider-Waite, but I don't have to be annoyed by the fact that it's full of people that I don't want to look at. So my least favorite and least used deck, I have a lot of decks I don't use per se because my collection is so big and it grew so fast. Like, you know, it was too many decks too fast. I will eventually work my way through them. And I didn't bring that deck with me today. Actually, today is my day off and I wasn't thinking I was going to do this, but I was hit with a sudden flash of inspiration, so I'm a little unprepared. But my least favorite and least used deck, I would have to say, is either, you know what, I don't like the Luminous Tarot, not to be confused with Lumina. Luminous Tarot is done by the same people who do Golden Thread, and I just find, like, while the backs of the cards are very pretty, it's that holographic thing. I find them to be just kind of blah, and it's like, it's like they're also a hand-drawn sketch, but they feel incomplete. They feel like, I guess, I don't know, I just don't particularly enjoy them. I will eventually do a walkthrough of the Golden Thread and the Luminous Tarot, but the other deck that I find myself that I don't particularly enjoy, and and I haven't really read with since I got it, would be the English Magic Tarot. I thought I would like it more than I did. And oh, excuse me. But yeah, I thought I would like it more than I did. I might edit that sneeze out, I might not. Maybe you'll see a sneeze. And I didn't particularly enjoy it. I think it's because of all the people in it. It's because I don't understand some of the, I'm not super into, I bought the deck because it was under $5 on Amazon. And I'm not particularly into, I'm not like super into, like I don't get, like there's a lot of hidden secrets and like ahas in that deck. And honestly, I don't want to have to work that hard to understand my cards. Which is lazy. It sounds lazy, but I don't know Agam. I don't know runes. I can't like, and then you have to like hold them in a mirror, like and then translate. And then like there's a bunch of puzzles in there to solve. And while I normally enjoy solving puzzles, if I know that I'm going to be solving puzzles, I don't want to have to solve them to understand a deck of tarot. So I haven't really been using that one since, like I haven't really touched it since I bought it. And let me think if I have any other ones that I dislike. I'm just kind of doing a quick mental inventory. No, I don't think there's any that I particularly dislike, just some that I haven't really dusted off yet. So those are my two least favorites. Let's see. What time of day do you feel your readings are the strongest? My readings are the strongest either first thing in the morning, like, you know, I've woken up, I've had my cup of coffee, you know, they're just starting to get the wheels going, and I'll do a couple of readings in the morning. And those I feel are usually pretty good. And then midday is usually no good for me, mostly because I'm here at the store and I'm distracted. Sometimes in the morning. Oh, you know what? I'll do this. This is actually in a different question, so I'll save that. And then I feel after I have grounded myself at the end of my workday, before I go home to be distracted by all the things that I love about my house, my readings are the best then. And then number 4 is what time of day are they the weakest? Let's see. That would have to be midday. Sometimes I'll try to read in between customers. Like if it's slow enough, I'll post like I'm doing readings on Eclectic or something. And then if I find that I have to do them in between customers and whatnot, the readings are no good. And then at night I'll try to do them like when I go home, when we're trying to be relaxing and stuff at home. But like everybody wants my attention because they haven't seen me all day, so I get it. But you know, when there's dogs and cats and birds and other halves in my face, like I can't get a good reading done. I get very distracted, and then I'm just like meh. Also, I feel like my readings aren't really that good when I don't know, if I don't feel good, they're obviously not going to be good if I don't feel good. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Let's see. Do you take your cards into nature, or do you read cards in nature, and why or why not? I love taking my cards to the beach. So if you follow me on Instagram, you see I've taken a few decks out onto the beach. It feels so refreshing reading out there. You've got like the sound of the waves at the shore. It's very calming and hypnotic. This time of year there's like nobody out there, but even like if you go, I live on Cape Cod, so if you hit the beaches like before 8 a.m. or after 4 p.m. there's like hardly anybody out there. It's just like, you know, you've got the shorebirds, you've got the waves, you've got like the wind, you've got the sound of the sand and the dunes, and it's just the smell of the sea. Like I really love the ocean. So yeah, I love taking my cards to the beach. I will not take my cards into the woods, and it is not because I do not like the woods. I actually really do like the woods, but this area has a huge tick problem, and it was a very mild winter, and I just really don't want Lyme disease or babesiosis. And now we have the Lone Star tick, so I really don't want to be, I think that's the one that makes you allergic to red meat. And I would just be eating my cheeseburger with an EpiPen, being like, worth it. But yeah, so I really don't want ticks or anything like that happening. Like when it finally gets, I mean, at some point, I don't know, that's like if I was going to go to Vermont or something on a hike somewhere where it's cold enough to kind of kill that stuff off, I think I would really like taking my cards out into the woods and whatnot. But I don't have one. I don't have a lot of woods, and the woods that I do have are infested with deer ticks. So I'm all set with that. All right, let's see. I do like reading out of my back deck though, like being outside with them. That's fantastic. All right, so 6, do natural forces or weather have an effect on your reading, and do you have any examples? I've seen like little bits and talks of this flying around, and it always fascinates me. I feel like if I'm going to go to the beach and I'm going to do a reading, I found that the readings that I do during an incoming tide, interestingly enough, seem to be a little bit clearer. I love doing the moon phase readings, but those are more like reflective, like those are self readings. They're not readings for other people, and they tend to be psychologically reflective as opposed to like fortune tellery. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know, so like a little bit, I haven't been doing it long enough to really notice anything too crazy. I haven't read in like a blizzard, like we haven't had a blizzard where I could do readings. We haven't had like a hurricane or any like huge weather event. We did have like, it has been like a little dreary and rainy. And I think that just brings my mood down, so my readings tend to be a little more melancholy, just for the sheer fact that I wanted to be outside gardening and now I'm stuck inside. So I think it kind of has an effect that way, but not so much in the metaphysical sense of the word, in the metaphysical sense of the question. But I would love to hear from you guys on that. That kind of stuff really interests me. So let's see. 7, how do you really feel about reversals, and do they interrupt the ebb and flow of a reading for you? I do not enjoy reversals. The only deck that I've only ever really enjoyed reversals on, and even then not really, would be the Revelations Tarot. It's meant to be read, like it's got one image on one half and another image on the bottom half, so it's meant to do reversals. But I dislike when they show up in a reading because they confuse me. As a matter of fact, I go out of my way to make sure that I do not get reversals. I make sure before I start that and I know how to shuffle without getting reversals. Before I start a reading, I make sure all my cards are facing up, and I make sure that when I do shuffle, I don't get a reversal. And then sometimes, occasionally, one will just show up, and I'll be like, "What the hell, dude? Like, no, right side up." And depending on how I feel at the moment, I will sometimes I'll just turn that card right back over, and then I'll do like some shadow reading, I guess, with it, I guess is what it's called. But I don't like when cards show up in reverse, because I don't know, it kind of like it puts a speed bump right in the middle of a reading, and I'm just kind of like, oh, now I have to think about this, and we're like, for me, it definitely, like, it's a yield sign on the otherwise smooth 45 drive of a reading. All right, so number 8, if you could change or improve one thing about your tarot skills, what would it be? And this one I find that, I haven't seen this question yet, so I really look forward to seeing people's responses to it. But if you could change or improve one thing about your tarot skills or reading skills, what would it be? And for me, I guess change, I would like to be a little more, honestly, like, I know this is like so far out there, but I kind of want to be a little more fortune tellery with my readings. Like, I want to be like super specific. I want those moments where I'm just like, have you looked under the seat of your car for that thing that you forgot about? And like, oh my goodness, this is like, I want like those lightning bolt, like spooky moments. but as far like, but that's kind of, I feel like for me that's kind of outlandish. I don't, that's not really the style that I read in. I don't feel that I have that particular gift, so that'll probably never happen for me. But if I could improve one thing about my reading skills, it would be that you know, I just want to be an overall general better reader. I want to be good enough to read professionally. So that's going to just take time and practice, and I know I'll get there eventually, but I would like to not have to resort to looking at books for book meanings. I would like to be able to put the stories together a little more fluidly. I would like to be able to think a little more creatively about card meanings as well. I don't know about other beginners, but when you start, I think we kind of all use book meanings as kind of a crutch. So I would like to kind of eventually move away from that. But yeah, that is kind of one thing I would like to improve, and I would love to hear from people on that one, especially who have been reading for years. I mean, obviously, like I've only been doing it for like what, half a year maybe. Or at least half a year seriously. I've only been taking it for serious for like half a year, and I'm just like, I just want to be better. So that answer for me is, I guess that I don't know. I hope you weren't expecting more, so because that one you got kind of a boring answer from me for that one. But I can't wait to hear from people who've been reading for years. It'll be interesting to see what they would like to change or improve. Okay, so that would be the questions. There's only 8 of them. That took me 16 minutes, which for me is really impressive. Usually, like, even 6 questions takes me half an hour doing other challenges, but I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with. And then we have the, I'm going to kick off the Changing the Tide Challenge. And that, remember question number 2? Oh my goodness, the deck we hate, or the deck we don't like, or the deck we don't use. We're going to be working with that one for a whole entire week. I know you guys are so excited about it. Yay! So what I wrote, I actually kind of like, so I'm just going to read it. We all have a deck we hate, or at least don't love as much as the others. So in an attempt to change these feelings, we're going to be working with our least favorite deck for 1 week. The challenge is to do 4 readings a day, which can be as little as one card pulls, or it can be huge spreads. It doesn't matter. It's dealer's choice. And the questions that you ask don't matter either, and you can keep those. But the point is to work with it, and work with it intimately. Any time of day, any time of night, but at least 4 times a day. You can do more if you want, but at least 4. And you can journal or Instagram or VR your experience. But I want to know how working intimately with a deck that we don't like, even for as little as 1 week, changes how we feel about the deck. So I think this will be interesting. So I'm either going to be working with the Luminous or the English Magic Tarot for this. I haven't quite decided yet, but I will do a separate video response for day 1. I'm actually going to start doing that today. So you will see the first video for that come out either later tonight or tomorrow morning. And I cannot wait to hear about your experience doing the Changing the Tide Challenge, which will have its own hashtag. It'll just be hashtag Changing the Tide Tarot. So I cannot wait, and thank you guys for watching, and thank you everybody. My deepest, sincerest, heart-filled thanks, like from the bottom of my heart. Just thank you so much for subscribing and supporting my humble little channel. Thank you for listening to me ramble on, and thank you for those times where you thought I was funny. Because, you know, whatever, I think I've got a lame sense of humor, but I enjoy it. I think I'm punny. But anyway, thank you guys so much, and I look forward to watching all of your responses. And as always, spread the love. The more people we get doing tarot tags, the better. That just means that it grows our community, it brings people into our loving fold, and it just increases the tarot sphere. So thank you guys so much, and I look forward to all of your responses, and wish me luck on the first day of the Changing the Tide Challenge. Ooh, I'm not looking forward to it. It's like eating lima beans. No! Thank you guys.